Then, you know, as you grow up and you get smart, I go to college. And of course, when I got out of college, I had to go to work. But New York, I went to school in New York, and New York was overrun with college students coming in looking for work. And there weren't jobs to be found. So I had to search the newspapers and what have you until eventually I located an outfit. I went down and got an interview, and it happened to be what was known as an import-export company. Their business was buying materials from other places such as South America, Central America, some as far as the Philippines, and they would order this stuff and bring it back here and then resell it to people who were needing that kind of stuff. And when I applied for the job, I went down because it said something about some administrative clerical work needed, so I applied for the job, and I was interviewed by the accountant of the company. And we talked it over and so forth, and sounded like it was a job I could do and so forth. Then he said, well, you'll have to meet the boss. Then he takes me over to the boss's office, so we go over there, and here's this big guy with a big ruddy face, bald-headed, and very imposing person, and he introduced, he said, the first thing he asked me, young man, have you had any experience in this? And I said, no, sir. Well, we're wanting somebody with some experience. And he looks at the guy, and Mr. Shires told him, so, well, maybe he didn't work out. They said, I don't think he'd work out. So said, dismiss me right there. And I walked out to the elevator, which came right up into the office. I'm standing there waiting for the elevator to come up. I looked back, and there the two of them had their heads together. I go back. Saw him before he come back. I go back, and the boss says, well, son, Mr. Shotters here seems to think that you'll work out here. He says, I don't think you will, but we're going to give you a try anyway. You can start to work tomorrow. Well, I did. $15 a week. I just graduated from college. I was going to make $15 a week.
Was that good or horrible?
That was lousy.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, but it was the only thing available. And I started work there, and oh, he was a tyrant. He was a fellow that everything had to be perfect. He'd hammer every morning. There will be no mistakes made in this office. Anything that goes out of here has to be examined by a supervisor who will initial it to make sure there's no mistakes. So he's talking about invoices and things like that that are going out. And we don't make mistakes here. No mistakes, that's the whole thing. Well, this was shortly before the first of the year. He had a nice Christmas party for the entire staff. And I was one of them. I was invited to come along. He had a place down on Park Avenue, a beautiful place. Went in there, and he had we have a nice party there for the whole staff and so forth. And I felt very much at ease, although I was fearful of this guy. Because so was everybody else. Everybody was scared of the boss. There was no question about that. And the following morning when I come in to go to work, well, and incidentally, it took me an hour and a half by the subway to get to work. Take the subway into Grand Central Station, down, and go to work. And this particular day, of course, I had to wait. I always took the same train or whatever time the train was going to be leaving Flushing, where I was then living, go down to the workplace. This morning I got down there, and I don't know, the trains may have been running a little late or what have you, but as I walked into the building, I saw him get into the elevator and go up. So that meant I had to wait till the elevator come back down. And when the elevator come back down, I walked into the elevator, come up. He's standing right outside the elevator waiting for me. He looked at me and says, "Why are you late?" I said, "I have no reason, sir." "Well, I knew you'd never work out here. Get your pay and go." My $15, I'm being fired from the first job I ever had. Oh my gosh, I had to go back and tell my aunt and uncle that I got fired from the job. However, I followed up with another ad, and I got a job the next week working for a magazine distributing company. Now I was going to be paid $21 a week. I got fired from a $15 a week job, and I got a $21 a week job. And it was an entirely different kind of thing, because there, what they, all these guys who distributed the magazines, they would have their trucks, and they would take so many magazines to every newsstand around the city. Each one had a route. And we, as the ones who had to make up the routing, we would be allocated. Okay, now you're going to have 700 Saturday evening posters. You're going to have 250 of this. You're going to have so many of this and this and that, which you would allocate them to these drivers. And you had a big record sheet. You saw how many they got the week before and how much you're going to give them this week and so forth. Because then you kept track and see what he turned back in the week before, so you know how many give him. If he brought back too many, you cut back on the amount he's going to get the next time and that type of thing. So that was my job, going through on that phase of the work, just going through. And of course I was living with my aunt and uncle out in Long Island, and
So what year is this?
that would have been, well, I graduated from college in 37.
37.
Yeah.
And when did you get it into your head that you wanted to be a pilot? When did you get it in your head you wanted to be a pilot?
Oh, that was after I was back home, and
Back, meaning back in Ironton?
yeah, that was after I went back to Ireland. So when my dad and uncle moved to the island of Jamaica, and I couldn't go with them down there, so I went back to Ireton.
Oh.
And
Who moved?
what?
Aunt Rose?
Oh, Rose and Harold?
The island of Jamaica.
Okay.